Welcome back. You are tuned in to the
Turn Up. Great Roots presents the Turn Up season 4. Yeah, we haven't been in a while. We've been out in the field working hard so we can bring you all some updates, and we cannot remember how to do the intro
at all.
Season 4, episode something of the Turn Up. I'm Farmer Mac.
And I'm Roots.
Yeah, so like I said, let's explain to them why we're rusty and we haven't been, doing our podcast in the last, I think we missed like 2 weeks or something like that.
Probably.
Yeah.
So we have been working in the garden, kind of, sort of.
No, it's all sort of. No, it's been, like I tell people all the time, it's fun to say you want to get into farming and gardening or whatever, but it is a everyday activity. You know what I'm saying? Especially with the livestock that we still have the 4 hens.
Livestock?
It makes it big. We had cattle heads, but no, with the 4 hens laying eggs every day, and trying to prep the land. Like we've had a big issue, I guess. What was it? It's the peppers, right?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
So this year our peppers did not grow in the greenhouse. And so we have maybe 9, but they haven't grown this year, and I'm not exactly sure why. I haven't figured it out. And every time I have planted them again, which has been 3 or 4 times now, none of them will grow. And we're using the same techniques that we've always used. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on this season. Farmer Mac thinks it may be the seeds.
Yeah, I don't know. We got them from the same area, but like I said, for the 6th year we've been doing this, it's always been something's different. Like, what was it, 2 years ago? I mean, we had so many peppers. It was
so
ridiculous.
Many.
And we're doing the same thing. We're still putting them upstairs in a spare bedroom under the heating lamps. So we're doing it from seedlings to starters and then taking them outside. So unfortunately, as you've heard in our previous episodes, we probably have lost over 100, roots. I ain't gonna lie, she does all the planting in here, and we probably lost over 150 on a minimum. I want to say close to 200, 200 crops. Like, so we're coming up there every day. Some days I forget to water, they dry out, whatever. My power bill is still high, so Great Roots, y'all owe me. And then you sit there and then you see some of like tomatoes and other stuff flourishing, and them peppers is just like, bro, we good. We good this year. So we've tried. So, we're looking at other places to get them from. We try to solicit and support local farmers, urban farmers that are in the area, because like I said, we're a rock throw away from a lot of them, and we're gonna start putting that on the website too, just so people can solicit that. But try to keep it homegrown. Like I said, we're trying to teach the kid we'll be about it. We don't try to cut any corners. Not that stuff is wrong with Lowe's and Home Depot, but we just don't know. So if we teach that to the kids, we gotta live by what we teach. So.
Yeah. So our goal is to make sure that everything we put in our garden is organic, as in our beverages, and so
that is water.
And so we make sure everything we put in our garden is organic. And the reason Farmer Mac said there's nothing wrong if you want to get anything from Lowe's or Home Depot, it's just that a lot of those products may not be organic, and we just like to make sure that we know what we're putting into our soil and into our garden. So we do specifically grow stuff ourselves from seeds here in a house. And then when we do purchase, when we have challenges with growing, like with the peppers this year, we do our best to make sure we support our local farmers and buy from them. So if you want something that is organic and inexpensive, you can always check out who your local farmers are. A lot of the local farmers will sell you their seedlings and their transplanted crops. Yep. And so check it out. And
it's always good to support the community too. Like I said, farmers market, not just at farmers markets, it's not always the end product. They do have starters also. So like I said, it is a lot of work, but if you don't have the time and ability, but you still want to eat fresh, I suggest, not just support them with their finished products, but with just try your hand at it, But some years you're like, I don't have the time or have the energy, and sometimes you just don't have that green thumb. So but it's worth a try. It's worth a try. So I continue. I know some people have been on this journey with us since we started doing the podcast. And I've heard stories of how they've had great years and not so great years. I try not to say things are bad. It's that some things are great and some things are not as great. So we just, implore you to keep going, because the end product is, like I said, we've had some great years, and I just can't wait for the tomatoes this year. We've had some great years of tomatoes and some not so great years, but it's nothing like walking out and eating. You don't have to wash it off. You don't have to do anything. Just pull it off and just eat it. And then that's one of the main things we're teaching the kids. So we want the kids to know where everything comes from. So when they go to the store, we're like, wait a minute, that don't look like grape roots. Like all cucumbers don't look the same. All the tomatoes don't look the same. So we're teaching them, like, you'll know where your food comes from and how you feel. So, and then, like I said, who knows what happens, 10 years from now when they have their own children, or they get into life and they just start eating more organically and locally. So, and another thing that we said, always eat in the season too.
It's interesting you say eat in the season, because now that I'm thinking about it, the years that you guys have challenges with your crops, like say for instance, this year we had challenges with our peppers, it may not be the season for peppers. We never really know from season to season what the season will bring, right? We had extra cold spring, and then all of a sudden it turned hot. Maybe not everything is supposed to grow every year during the season it's supposed to grow.
You're not a scientist.
I'm just saying.
Exactly. Yeah, but we don't know. Like I said, the earth is changing. There's a lot of things, but remember how the sky used to look when we started this journey during the beginning of the pandemic, how it was bluer and things, how, our stuff was growing real good.
During the pandemic, everything grew so good.
There was no smog in the air. There's no cars on the road. There was just this, clouds of water. The water was wetter. So what we didn't, I don't know if this is the same. So what we have seen a big difference as people start to get back out there. So, like I said, it's just like in babies. You have to nourish it, and sometimes you have to understand it. So sometimes it's not going to be as successful as you would deem it to be, but sometimes it's just, you got to talk it and walk it through it and say, hey, we're going to push through, so.
And every year we are learning something new, and now that we have our livestock.
Stop. I told you don't know what air quotes. You don't know how to use air quotes right. We do. They're livestock.
We've learned that we've got to now protect our garden, because they will not necessarily dig it up and eat it, but they like to find places to bathe, to do their little dirt baths. So they end up digging up a lot of the things we plant. And so this year our challenge, and the main reason I said we're kind of like semi-working, is because we've been working more on securing our land rather than planting plants, because we've got to find a way to make sure our plants are safe and secure. And so this year we've been really heavily focused on building a fence, which
because we're on still 25 building. Yeah, we have a 2,500 square feet that we are trying to fence in, that we've never had to do that before. So we take down all the T-posts and all the cow panels and redid it. For the 5th year, we've done the structure of our garden. And like I said, the hens are going on 2 years now. And like I said, we've told this before about dirt baths, but we have some soil that has been there so rich that's how they clean themselves and get the bugs off of them, by digging like a little hole or whatever and flipping the dirt on themselves and stuff. Unfortunately, is right where we plant stuff. So they'll sit there, get in a little hole, and just eat our starters.
Yes.
So that's what we've been doing.
They love the greens, so we had to actually cover the greens. So that's also something we've done this year, is we have covered all of our greens, but we also learned in covering them for protection from the chicken that when it starts to get warmer outside, it's also a way that we can keep our greens longer in the warmer months, because they don't like the warmth, they don't like the sun. Like, greens are crisp. That comes from the cold air, like the ice and stuff like that. If you don't know, if you ever have greens that are going bad at home, put them in an ice bath, they'll get crispy again.
Yep.
And so the greens like the cold air, and so when we cover them for protection from the chicken, it also protects them from the sun. So we've been able to keep our kale and our collards. We have bok choy out there, and they're growing wonderfully, even though it's hot outside, because we got them covered. So we've learned some lessons too through protecting our food from the chickens.
Yeah. And I fight with them chickens every morning, because we have two 2 lots. The lot that's in the front of the neighborhood is probably a quarter of the size of what we have on the main grapefruits garden. So we built out 7 raised beds there. But raised is like, I mean, they're just enclosed, but they're not off the ground. So unfortunately, the hens can hop in there, and they have destroyed probably at least 6 of our crops that we've grown in there. So I'm to the point now, every morning I go to the coffee shop and they're in there hiding. I just throw wood chips at them. I yell at them. They understand.
Such a loving parent.
Yeah, but you got to discipline them. So that, that's, we're going through that. And so they don't eat the product. So we know the kids from FCS, we'll talk about, them and Michelle later as we do our year in review. They worked hard. And like I said, we have seen such growth in the kids, and we won't see them again for another 2 weeks until they get out of school. This is the last for APS. It's the last week of school right now. So they'll be back with us the next 2 weeks. And they're going to be so overjoyed to see their tomatoes. They got bok choy.
They don't have bok choy.
What's that? No.
They're Swiss chard.
Swiss chard. That's it. They got Swiss chard over there. Got the squash or whatever. They got their sunflower.
They're not squash anymore. Remember
What is that thing, man?
No, the chickens ate the squash.
Oh, they eat the squash. It's a cucumber.
Yeah, so they got cucumbers, peppers,
Okay.
tomatoes, sunflowers,
Yep.
Hibiscus,
Yep.
flowers, and they also have some onions.
Oh, yeah, that's one. Yeah.
And they have some Swiss chard. So they worked really hard creating their little space up there to grow.
Yep.
And then the chickens just come and just destroy it.
Yeah, so we gotta, and the thing is, they play with these chickens all the time. I don't know if the chickens is payback to them or whatever it is, but yeah, it's they're going through, like I said, we really took interest in this seed to feed. So they prepped the land from cutting the grass, weeding, plowing, putting down the wood chips.
Terrible.
It was horrible.
Oh.
But we wanted to make sure that they have ownership in this whole project. So like I said, once they get helped build the boxes, fill the boxes, dirt, wood chips, fertilizer, plant the seed, water, still weed eat between the time. Clean up around there, because there's a paper recycling company that's across the street, so they pick up the street. So we're giving ownership and understanding there's more to it, and there's community involvement. And as we said in previous episodes, it's wonders if you see these kids that didn't want to have anything to do with it, but have exhibited leadership skills. The older kids have become, leaders and able to talk to the younger ones. Like I said, we have it from age 4 all the way up to 18. And they are not afraid to get dirty now. I keep telling them to stop wearing their Jordans and their ones and stuff in there. One got some Yeezys, but I don't know, they might be some Pleasies, because they don't look real. So, but no, I can't wait for them to see what they have done. And hopefully that can spark some more. And then that, ones that are going to matriculate over into college, that they can take what they've learned, and then the younger ones continue this program. And every year, and like I said, even in the summer, let them come over in the summer, and then we can even actually start paying them to do this. So, but yeah, so that's what we've been doing thus far.
We need to go back and kind of review who we all talked to this season.
Yeah.
I know we didn't have a lot of guests, but we had a lot of impactful guests.
I would say so myself. Me being one of them. You know what? We should have done that. We should have interviewed Farmer Mac. We should have interviewed Malcolm.
Yeah, absolutely. No.
Next time.
We don't even know what Malcolm has to say.
He does. He wants to see from the outside view. He's has a front page. He sees it every day.
There's a diagnosis for people that talk about themselves in third
person.
No.
He's a totally different guy. A stand-up guy. He's a stand-up guy. That was, man, we dropped the ball on that. I think we robbed you all of that. But there's always the future.
Let's talk about the guests that really made
all right, we can do that too.
An impression on us.
We can do
year.
that too.
And we can roll back from who was last on, who was Michelle from FCS.
Yes, because that falls into what we were talking about with the kids. Yeah.
Because Malcolm keeps talking about these kids, and y'all probably like, what kids are they talking about? First they talk about the
should have been tuned in.
Their plants are their kids, and then the chickens are their kids. But no, we have some real legitimate kids that come out here to the garden twice a month to cultivate their skills and learn how to grow fruits and vegetables. And the program that they are in is
The FCS.
what do we call it?
Oh no, Seed to Feed.
Seed to
That's
Feed.
what we came up with. But when we first started working with them, Michelle Witherspoon and FCS, it was just a conversation from Mayor Franklin. She told us, told me, it was like, oh, you need to make with people over at FCS since you live right across the street from them. And probably in the way our garden is set up, you can't really see from, it's intentional that you can't see from the street. But when I talked to them and I met Michelle, it was just, the synergy was great. And what they're doing over there is fantastic with the different level of kids. And I just, to integrate this was fantastic. And I said, that's just, some of these things that, you hear all the issues with a major city in Atlanta and all the crime and things, but there are people out there that are really integrated into the community that's trying to make an impact, and not a microwave impact. It's like, I'm gonna do something now, I'm gonna leave you alone and hope for the best. It's like, no, I'm gonna give you some foundation. It's based in Christian, ministries or whatever, but it's a foundation that they're giving these kids that they can build upon. And it's great. So even right when we first started, we didn't know what we were doing. They were just helping us clean, play with the chickens, pull weeds. They were just outside getting acclimated.
Tomatoes.
Yeah, they're just getting acclimated. Like I said, that's why it's phenomenal to see how they've changed. Yeah.
I will say that, it's important, and I think we forget how important community is. And so these kids actually get to do these things in their community. So it also allows the community members to know who they are. And so a lot of times when I know who you are, it gives me a better sense of how to navigate through taking care of or watching out for and making sure these kids, have that extra little support that I think for me growing up, we had that where, the whole community looked out for kids. And I don't know that it's really like that anymore, but this program gives us an opportunity to learn and meet and interact with the kids that live here in our community, so that they feel like they're supported and they're seen and they're heard and they have people around them. And I think that's important too. You know.
And like I said, and people that look like them. So, it's funny too, because if they see me in the coffee shop without Farmer Mac and they get to meet Malcolm, even Michelle, I started speaking to her, she had no idea. She's like, oh my God, I've never seen you without your farmer stuff on, so I didn't know what you look like. Everybody's like, oh, and Denzel. I was like, chill. It's just me. It's just me. And we should have really had Malcolm on here, but yeah, so I think, like I said, it's really important, like you said, for people to see people that look like themselves doing things, because you're not going to always see that perpetrated on the news and around you, but you do see common individuals, transforming, doing something in the community, and growing and being farmers is just something different.
It is different.
We are multifaceted. We're not monolithic people.
Oh.
Got him. That was Malcolm. I don't know if that was Farmer Michael or Malcolm. So we do it. We know we are a lot of different things, and it is very important. Even you all in your community, if you have an opportunity, do something for the youth. Let them see. You think that what you do is not important, but think about yourself and what you needed as a child and what you saw. A lot of you all are who you are because of what you saw, and not who you are because you didn't see it. And now, a lot of people have what they say, a second life, and they've, done a 180 on their career and something. So you never know. These kids might never farm or whatever, but when they walk in the store, they are very self-conscious about what they're eating, and what that's going to do is going to trickle down to their kids.
Yeah.
And, we try to build a healthy, they'll start understanding, like, why is a salad at Zaxby's or whatever $8, but they have a 99-cent menu for fake beef or whatever it is?
That part.
So.
And representation matters. And when you start to see, not only on the aspect of like giving kids the opportunity to see other career choices, they get to see people doing healthy things.
Yeah, like Tata.
Right. Like Chef Tata. We had her on a few weeks back, and she is a vegan chef. And to be honest, she hasn't been vegan her whole life. And so she gets to be an example of how that transition looks, because she hasn't done it again like her whole life. So she can show you how it looks from going from beef to vegetables mainly. And she shows you how to do it in a way that is balanced and healthy. A lot of times when we follow vegan-based lifestyles, we end up having like junk food, because potato chips are vegan.
Yeah.
Oreos are vegan.
What do you mean?
Potato chips are vegan.
Like potato chips right now?
Yes.
What do you mean they're vegan?
They are vegan. So what are the ingredients in the potato chips?
Potatoes.
And what else?
Chips.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Potatoes, oil, and salt. None of those come from animals.
I did not know that.
So that means potato chips are vegan.
Mm.
So a lot of
Because I was telling the neighbors to stop feeding the chickens potato chips.
But why are they feeding the chickens potato chips?
Because I don't know. People stop doing that, but that's another story.
And
stop
to your
doing
point,
that, y'all.
Yes.
Eggs coming out all brittle. Whatever. Go ahead.
But to your point, like she
Tastes
shows
like
you how to live a vegan-based, plant-based, alkaline-style diet, and she's made it taste good.
Yeah.
Like she has a whole restaurant where she has tacos, and she has a whole online store where you can order from her and order things that are alkaline vegan. And so if you're even having a challenge of what do I buy, what do I get, she can kind of navigate from the store to the table.
And like I said, that is just being in the community, and sometimes it just takes somebody to bring them in there, because like I said, I don't know what vegan really means, or
most people don't.
Yeah, so you're just like, oh, it's not gonna taste good, but no, that's not always the case. But if you're not introduced to it, you don't know. You know, being from the South or from the Midwest, you used to, I'm just gonna eat beef or whatever. I need that. Not that it's bad or good. It's, it's like everything. It's how it's prepared and where you get it from. So that, and like I said, you had to be introduced to stuff. And like I said, go back and listen to her podcast and see her journey, from what was season 1 also.
Yeah.
When she was first introduced, and just see the growth from that season to this season, how she's flourished and everything. So
she didn't have a whole restaurant and a store and all that. See, the first season we interviewed her, she just was preparing food for people individually.
Yeah. See, and that's, she didn't know, what she did? She bet on herself. Just like her guest Corey did.
Yes.
So it takes sometimes trusting yourself and doing that, and that's what we saw with Tata, like I said, from that first season to where she is now, and seeing she has a brick and mortar now.
She does.
She was doing meal prep, and now she bet on herself, and now she's flourishing with brick and mortar. So like I said, and that's, if you go back and listen to Corey Anderson's episode on betting on herself, and how she is doing. I mean, she went to school for one thing, and now she's really totally interested in doing something else.
Like she went to school to be a whole engineer.
Whole engineer. Started out with petroleum engineer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then ended up with biomedical. No, chemical engineer. That's what she ended up. Finishing in that. So
and now she's in this whole agricultural space and figuring out how that's going to be profitable, and learning from, again, seed to feed for her, but in a different way with other different kind of products.
Yeah, she was just trying to marry, and as being a young, you don't know everything being a youth, but in some people's like, I want to be an entrepreneur, and because you all have seen, that generation has seen things that we didn't see. We're always like, go to college, get an education so you can work for somebody. But nowadays, and I preach it.
Many options.
Well, I preach it. Like I said, stop telling people. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. Stop telling people you don't need college for that. Yes, you do. You need college for certain things, if not just the networking aspect, to see what you don't want to do. Well, who can you partner with later on? A lot of people that talk about college isn't for everybody. It's not for everybody. But the ones that it's for, don't think about, well, you have to go into debt. Not if you go get scholarships and work hard and you're investing in yourself.
Right.
So when you go get a house and you don't pay cash for it, you buy a $500,000 house, it's like, oh, I can't pay it all off. Well, you're going to be paying that for a long time.
Right.
So look at your education as an investment into yourself. And if you do it right, you're going to meet the great people that you're going to have a circle around. So what she's working on right now is like, she was going to go all in and start doing cannabis cultivation classes and everything. But when another person found out what she was doing, it's like, no. Use your engineering degree all you have and do process engineering. Because learning what you know now in the cannabis is such a young field. Use your engineering skills and then bring it to that field to be innovative. Don't work on the bottom. Don't start. You don't need to start on the bottom because you put up too much time. I tell everybody, if you went to school for 5 to 6 years, at least give yourself 5 to 6 years in that career path to see if you really want to do it. If you work that hard on it, work that hard another 5 to 6 years, because there was something about it. And like I said, being an engineer myself, it is very hard to graduate. You know what I'm saying? So most engineers don't graduate. We say we got out. You know what I'm saying? We got out. And it takes a special person. So don't give up on that. And, surround yourself with people that can help you marry your dreams.
I think another thing about Corey's episode that was really valuable is realizing there's not a box, right? Like I may have gone to school for engineering and I may not specifically navigate through the petroleum engineering space or the chemical engineering space, but I realize like I can take this and become use the process that I've learned to support me in the new endeavors that I'm working on. So realize that even when you go to school, if it doesn't look exactly like you thought it was, there's not a box. You can kind of create your own lane within the tools that you learn while you're in school. So just remember there's not a box. It can always look unlike what you think is familiar or what you thought to or what you expected.
Well, and that rolls into Full Bloom.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? She's a corporate, I want to say she was in marketing. Another one of the beautiful women, successful women from Hampton.
Look at that.
Yeah, and so she did that as well. She's totally different for years. And then whatever circumstance happens, she gets into doing the flowers, sees. But it's kind of like when you say, I'm going to get a new car. And this is car I want. And then all of a sudden, what happens? You see that car all
the time.
over. But she was so focused in what she was doing, she started seeing so many avenues of what flowers are needed. And she has done some very big name events and people. And I remember seeing one that she did for Oprah. And I don't think she even knew it was for Oprah. And she took it on for experience. And I want to say she wasn't paid for it. And she didn't know until came the day of or something like that. I probably get the story wrong, that it was for somebody that Oprah put through one of Oprah's schools. And that type of exposure, that's another thing, is sometimes you have to take a chance. And everything you're not going to get paid for. Sometimes you need experience. And from that moment, I'm sure it was a catapult to where she is now. Yeah. And we always continue to follow up on her. She has followed up with composting. She calls me maybe every month or whatever, says she's going to bring by, give it back to the land from where the stems and all the flowers are. So that is another successful story. Like I said, if y'all follow Full Bloom, you'll see on our website. You can follow them on IG, Full Bloom by Lauren or whatever.
And beautiful work. I mean, to the point of Farmer Mac talking about college, her ability to be able to market herself in the way that she has now stems back to her corporate background. So these things still are going to be applicable even when you decide to move and shake through different careers as you grow and learn your dislikes and likes as you get older. But I think it was fabulous that we had, now that I'm doing this year in review, I didn't realize we had technically 4 different awesome women who bet on themselves. They were bet on themselves, have pivoted in their careers, and are now like thinking or realizing there's not a box for them.
Yeah. And that's very interesting, because we left out another person on there, and I don't know what happened with that had done the same thing.
Who?
You know what I'm saying? You.
Oh, me?
Yeah, I know you always want to play small, but just when you said that, I looked at that and I was like, you are the same. Your story is just like that. And it's a seed that you planted long time ago. And even when we met, when you had just moved down here, and think of all the things that you've ever said and everything that you've ever done has put you in this situation. The way that we met at the bar that night to where you have gone in your career outside of Grape Roots, and what you're doing now. I'm not going to go into that, but you're doing phenomenal work for some individuals that are very important to the safety of this city, and what you have done and what you are able to pour in through them. And like, I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything like that, and that's the same thing that you put into Grape Roots. Is tenfold with what you're going to do for these young men and women lives, or whatever, that see things that we don't,
It could be traumatic. Very
traumatic or whatever. So I think this whole season, you're right, has a bow tied with that. And I think that energy that you said, like I said, I didn't even realize until now that we tied this all together.
Thank you, Farmer Mac.
No, that's you. So yeah, I think we're good. So I look forward to what we're going to do in the future as we wrap this episode up. We got a lot of planning to do.
We do.
We got a lot of work. We got to finish that fence, and but we're going to continue to post our progress. If anybody has any questions, you can always reach out to us. Graperoots.org, Grape Roots Inc. on Instagram, Farmer Mac on TikTok. I need to get dancing again. MAK, baby. So, but yeah, like I said, continue, push through. Something's not growing, learn how to pivot. Like I said, you only have 2 days. You have great days and not as great. You don't have bad days. So with that, this is Grape Roots and Farmer Mac.